Hi, it's Kevin Markman. Welcome to Relationship Ready Talks. Appreciate you coming. This is where we're going to try to apply the stuff we talk about in Relationship Ready to make sure that we can all be more relationship ready to an actual relationship. So today we're going to talk to Phoebe. And Phoebe walks us through a couple different relationships, but primarily one. But what I'm hoping we get out of this is some sort of connection, some sort of meaning for each of you. And hopefully, Phoebe got some meaning from this too. So what I look for when I'm going through this, and what I want you to look for is, first of all, what your hopes are for this. What do you want out of this? What are you trying to get from watching this particular series, this video, for yourself? Number two is, what are the themes to look for? And what I look for is, I look for health, I look for intimacy, I look for connection, I look for supports, and I look for the desire to progress. How much constructive, how much destructive are we doing to ourselves? And primarily, I'm just listening and feeding back the things that I see that we talk about in Relationship Ready. So for me, I'm looking for some intimacy, and I'm looking for some connection, and I'm looking for to relate, since that's the foundation of relationships, is to relate. So I'm looking to connect and relate and listen. I'm looking to see, is she connecting? Is she relating? Is she hearing what she needs from what she says? Because I can't solve anything. I can only reflect on what's happening. And it's up to each of us to solve our own problems and become more relationship ready. Hi, it's Kevin Markman, and welcome to Relationship Ready Talks. This is a series of talking and applying all the skills from Relationship Ready to your real life. How do we use these skills? What do we do with them? Where do we go with them? And let's make them in real life. So I'm going to introduce you to our first guest tonight, and she's going to tell a little bit about herself, and then we're going to talk about a relationship, because that's what we do here is relationships. So I'm Kevin Markman, introducing Phoebe Coates.
Hello, I'm Phoebe, as Kevin just said. I am 26. I don't have very good luck in the romance department, and I've only had like 2 official relationships, and they didn't last long. One was 6 months, and one officially was 5 days.
Okay, and it sounds like it was actually official because you did do the quotes during the official, so that made it actually official.
Yeah, it was actually official because basically he and I like knew each other because he used to be like buddies with my old roommate, but I thought he was cool and hot, but I mean, I didn't know that at first. You didn't
know he was cool and hot, or you didn't know he was buddies with your roommate?
I didn't know he was buddies with my roommate. Okay. I thought he was cool and hot because we matched on dating apps, and then we'd never actually meet. We kept matching, but then we like never actually met or anything. Okay. And then I told.
So it was meant to happen because you continued to match on the dating apps.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I told my roommate, like, we would tell each other about online dating stuff because we'd both been on the apps for years, and sometimes there was like awkward overlap where it's like, oh, I know that guy and he actually sucks. Or like, oh, I know that guy and I actually had a thing for him, stay away from him.
Okay. So you supported each other as well as set boundaries for like, stay away from this one. Okay.
Yeah. And this happened twice with her. I would be like on the apps and I'd be like, ooh, I'm excited to meet this guy. Then she'd be like, who? And again, this happened twice. I showed her, for the first guy, it was guy, and then she was just like, oh my God, I know him. He was a rebound for me, big rebound. Like, I was just using him because he made good money and he would buy my friends and I drinks and dinner. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then she invited him over while I was there, and my sisters were there, and that was really awkward.
That is really awkward
because it's like, oh, here's this guy I lost interest in that you now have interest in that I'm gonna invite over. That again, this was another guy who I never actually met, but would match with a lot of stuff. So like that made it awkward, and then also like it was awkward for them staying and seeing each other lives. Whole lots of awkward vibes, and then the second time it happened was with this dude named. I'm not a doctor. I don't need to not name names. I knew, so again, I was like, this was last summer. I was just like, oh, I'm excited to meet this dude. And then she was like, who? And then I was like, she's like, oh, I used to hook up with him. He was fun, but I haven't talked to him in a while. I'm going to invite him over. So then me and her and her friend and went to this Black Lives Matter protest, and it was awkward.
So you had these couple of potential relationships that your roommate friend / had something before, and you were like, oh, there might be something to them, and one was good, one was not so good, or tell me.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's fine. He's just boring. But then with this guy, I was like, oh, the only thing that was like wrong with him is that he doesn't have a car and he doesn't have his own place. And my roommate is very ableist. I used to have a very high opinion of her, but now I don't. We are on bad terms, and I feel like stupid for like liking her as much as I did for as long as I did. Anyways, I was like, well, if the worst thing about him is that she doesn't meet her like high standards, that's fine. And so then I started hanging out with him, and then he was just like we matched on Hinge, which is like known for dating. It's not Tinder. It's not just
no.
But
you can have an actual relationship based on something more than sex.
Yeah.
On Hinge. And so you were looking for that.
Yeah.
You found that?
He said he wanted a relationship. Like, we hung out, and I already knew him, so I was like, yeah, just come over to my place. Like, he already was at where I used to live.
So you had reached a later stage of relationship because you knew him and felt comfortable with him, so you're like, come on over.
Yeah.
Not expecting sex, expecting relationship.
Yeah, or like, like feeling it out and stuff. But he said, yeah, I want a relationship. And then I was like, oh, sweet, me too. I thought I didn't, but I actually do. And then he was like, oh, great. And then I said, are you vaccinated? He said, yes. I said, me too. Okay. Pfizer gang. Apparently, like, I saw a tweet that said Pfizer is for hot people, like the vaccine. I was like, yeah, that's me, so it's true.
Okay, so you're hot people with Pfizer.
Yes, okay. Pfizer gang.
All right. And that's part of your criteria, because as you're going through this, if you'll notice, you're identifying criteria that you and your roommate have, and they have to meet those criteria to be able to feel better about yourself in the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, well, she's ableist. I'm not. I mean, I think I am to an extent, but not like to her extent.
Okay.
And so, yeah, but like, I was just like, I mean, I won't only hang around vaccinated people, but I pretty much only hang around vaccinated people, at least like in a personal setting.
Okay.
Because I come here, obviously not everybody's vaccinated, but
right. And that's your boundaries, is to expect that.
Yeah, like I'm out here for like comedy purposes, and like I expect people to be honest with me.
Okay. And you expect that in your relationships as well.
Well, I mean, it's irrelevant. I never, but
So what happened? What was the progression?
So we started, he said he wants a relationship, he said he's vaccinated, so we started spending a lot of time together, We were seeing each other, every night, at least a couple hours every night for a while, and we were doing really cutesy shit. My cat really liked him, he really liked my cat, and when
pets like them, it means something more.
Yes, yes, even though my cat's a little cuddle, he likes almost everyone. Okay. Unless
so you can't use that as criteria.
Yeah, now criteria. I know. That's the thing I learned.
But you learned that. Okay.
Yeah. Right. And he also, sometimes I try to act really weird in the beginning because I am weird. And I'm like, okay, it's like a litmus test. are you going to be weird when I'm weird? And then he just matched my weirdness. And I was like, oh, that's a great sign. And also, I have a hard time falling asleep with people in the same room or in the same bed as me. And I could actually fall asleep with him.
Because you felt comfortable enough and you had connected on being weird, because everybody's weird in a weird sort of way.
Yeah.
But you and he were the right kind of weird.
Yeah, and the cuddling felt good. The sex was pretty good.
Which is overall the intimacy of the cuddling and the sex and the relationship.
And I overshared with him. Shocker. He sometimes shared some stuff with me,
but it felt good when he did, because it felt like he was close.
Yeah. And then
so that's all going well right now.
Yeah, so then after like 10 or so days, I was like, well, I know it's kind of soon, but like I want a relationship. If he doesn't want a relationship, I don't want to waste time. So like I was like, so I like you. Let's date. And then he was like, I thought we were just like buddies or like emotional support buddies. Okay. And I was like, oh?
That was a surprise and shock.
Yeah.
Because you had a higher expectation of relationship, of more than buddies and more than emotional support.
Yeah, and he said, because he said he wanted a relationship, not an emotional support buddy. And I was like, bro, you said you wanted a relationship? I said I wanted a relationship. I never said I wanted an emotional support buddy, although what is a relationship if not that? But like, I want a relationship.
Right.
And then
we should be defining it differently, but it was really the same thing that you both had, but he was defining it differently and dismissing it under you as a lower level of relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so I was like, whatever. So then I called him out on it. I was just like, and then I was just like, all right, so I want to date you. So if you want to date me, then let me know. Otherwise, leave me alone. And
you
then
said that to him?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he sent me, like, we'd show each other music and shit. Like, we both love music. And he sent me a song, and I was like, I deleted his number and everything. Like, I was like, oh, he's probably.
So you were backing off.
Yeah.
He sent you a song.
Yeah. And then I didn't know it was him, but then because I deleted his number. I didn't recognize his number. Fuck, I look like.
Who memorizes numbers, right?
Yeah, I memorized my parents' numbers when I was a kid and my best friend's number because it was easy to recognize, and I was like, one of my best friends. But yeah, I don't recognize
that sticks with it.
Yeah. But like, no. So then he texted me, and it was like certain emojis, and then it was a Spotify song. I was like, oh, it's you. And I was like, damn, I said I wasn't going to respond to you, but that's a good song. I was just like, that's a good song.
So that brought you back in.
Yeah, and then I was just like, okay, well, so I know I said like I want to date you or nothing, but we could be friends, I guess. And then he was just like, oh, well, actually, I do want to date you, and I was like, okay. My friends are like, oh, and I was just
They're
like
cautious and protective. Your butterflies are.
Yeah, they were just like, because I told everyone about that emotional support buddy thing. I did that on stage. I'm pretty sure you were there. Yeah, so my friends are all like,
wanting you to be cautious.
Yeah.
Caring about you, because they have intimacy and relationship with you. And you made the choice to what?
And then I was just like, well, I'm going to do it, because like, conveniently, it was when I actually had an appointment with my therapist. So I was just like, all right, like, let me get back to you. Let me think about it a little bit. I'll talk about it with my therapist. Yeah. And then my therapist was like, awesome, go for it. I mean, she didn't say exactly that.
So you had the buffer and you had the support of the therapist. And you read it as, go for it, try the relationship because he's offering.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, sweet, that's what I want. And I was like, oh, finally, he's different. Now, like, he wants me back. This is great. And then we finally went on like a real date, and that was nice. And but yeah, then I don't know. I feel like the rose petal glasses like kind of came off. But then like his boss like I didn't have to work, and like my summer job had ended, and then he was just like, oh, I don't have to work either. And I was like, oh, why? He's like, they sent me home. I was like, why? He's like, oh, because my boss has corona. And I was like, oh. And I was just like, oh, well, like, we spent the whole weekend together. This was on Monday. Okay. So I was like, okay, so, like, I need to get tested, too. And, like, he's like, I need to get tested. And he didn't have a car. So I was like, all right, I'll take you. And then, like, we can hang out afterwards. And then And he told me he was vaxxed, but then we got to urgent care to do the thing, and like we both like drove there together. I mean, well, I drove him,
Right.
and he told, you know, when they ask you like questions about being tested, they're like, "Are you vaccinated?" And he had told me yes, and then but he said to the nurse no, and then I looked at him and I was like,
Okay. So you questioned, and was this based on reality and honesty, or that he was lying to you?
yeah. So then I was just like, so then after they hung up, I was like, so you lied? So you lied then? And he's like, yeah. I was like, why? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, why? Like, seriously, why would you do that? He's like, well, I didn't think you'd want to hang around me if I wasn't vaccinated.
Because you were clear with that would be one of your criteria.
Not really,
No.
but like, I do prefer that. And then he was just like, oh, yeah, I'm not. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, what else have you lied to me about? He's like, nothing. I'm like, why should I believe you?
Because you question everything about who he is.
Yeah, now that I know he like basically started something on a lie. And so yeah, that wasn't cool.
So then that continued, or that ended?
Well, I was really torn. So I did what any logical millennial would do, and I posted a Facebook status about it. And I was just like,
to vent, get it out.
yeah, but also because I really wasn't sure, and that people were like, oh yeah, break up with him. And so then I was like, I did, and I left it. I was just like, okay, well, like, I'm mad at you, and I don't know if I can get past this, but like, because of this corona exposure, like, I can't hang out with anybody else, and I don't want to be alone, and like, I'm conflicted. I still like you, so like, you want to hang out? And he's like, well, nah, okay. And then I was just like, and then I got back after my test, and then he was just like, and then I was just like, all right, well, so like, what do you want to do? Do you want to come over? And he's like, oh, I just want to go home. And I was like, okay, so take an Uber. He's like, oh, can't you drive me? No, take a fucking Uber. And then I posted the status and everything. I thought about it. And then I was like, yeah, I got to break up with him. So I did it over text. And then he was like, that hurt my feelings, which is funny because he said to me so many times, like, oh, don't worry, if you break up with me, it's fine. I've been broken up with a lot. Like, it won't hurt my feelings. It's happened to me so many times.
But
like,
it still hurt feelings.
I know. And I'm like, well, damn. But also, like, good. Your feelings should be hurt.
Right. Because it feels better to be able to feel that also, because he hurt you.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I was like, oh, good, I can trust men again. He's different, blah, blah, blah. No.
Right.
And so now I'm like, I already knew I had bad taste in men. But that again, like, I was like, oh, God, I'm so dumb. I thought I wasn't dumb anymore.
Well, and you're not dumb.
I know.
But do you know that? Because that's the knowing it part. Because the knowing it part is the relationship will be
most of the time I know it.
Focused on being able to care about you and
Yeah.
be able to have your criteria and be like, this is what I expect. Because if you put that energy out there, that's what you get. If you don't put that energy out there, you get the other energy. And the other energy is what sucks. So, So do you feel better having finished and ended that, or is it done, or no?
It's done. I Facebook messaged him like a couple times. One of the times I was actually here, and I was a little drunk, and I was like, "Oh, I miss you. So does the cat." And then he said,
So you did the drunk.
and then he was, yeah, and then he was just because I deleted his number, but like he's still, and then he deleted his Facebook. It's back again. I check it sometimes, but he posted a picture that was just like an emo picture. He's like, "Oh, this is me and my lowest," and I'm like, "Good." Because you should feel bad.
It's good, but you also cared and reached out to him in your vulnerable
Oh, no, this was afterwards. I forgot. I just said, so what about, like, your corona test or whatever? And then he was like, oh, it came back negative. And I was like, okay. But I don't know, or I said something random, or I sent him something like a meme that would make him feel offended. I like to do that. I like to send people
just
memes
to
that
poke
would offend them.
a little bit.
Yeah.
So what did you learn from this, and what do you want from this?
I think I learned that I really need to be more cautious when it comes to, like, deciding to date people and stuff, and really, have other people meet them and, like, get their opinions and, like, listen to people.
Yep. And that is a helpful thing, because as you learn more about yourself, you understand yourself more, and if people who care about you give you feedback, then you will understand and care about them more. But until you understand more, then it's you being you and going, okay, this is who I am, putting that out there, and then getting the feedback, experimenting. Because the whole point of dating is figuring out what you like and don't like.
Yeah.
So you're figuring out what you like and don't like.
Yeah. I don't like liars.
Yeah. So if that's an added thing to your criteria, you're like, okay, how do I find if they're a liar or not? And if they can be honest with that, you can have more healthy relationships. If they can't be honest with that, then you are getting sucked into the, oh, I believe people who don't lie. I believe people who do lie. I just believe, as opposed to being able to get to the point where you're like, I know what I believe, and that's the vibe that I'm getting from people as well.
Yeah, and I think I also need to look at people's vaccination cards from now on and tell me they're fucking vaccinated.
Okay, because that's the proof in the testimony.
Yeah, or like if I don't even want to ask her, like I think from now on honestly I'm thinking about getting off the apps. I've got my hose. Like I think I'm like, yeah, let's meet at Lux or someplace where they require proof of vaccination.
Okay, so you're deferring it to other people who you're like, yes, they know, and you won't be lied to.
Yeah.
So lessons here: know who you are, look for lying or not lying, support from your friends and family who know you enough to be like, what the hell are you doing, or do the right thing, and then you do not close down completely, because you close down completely, you just think everybody sucks. And that's not a good thing.
And also to like, man, I just had something in my head, but I forgot it.
A big lesson to share as well.
Well, there was like little things about him that I was like, but I just ignored them. So maybe like not just ignore those things, or like at least ask about it. But there was something else, but like legitimately.
But be aware of the red flags and be able to explore the red flags.
Oh, right. And also, like, I'm glad, I feel like me a little bit ago would have been like, oh, well, he lied, and like I caught him lying, but it's not that bad. I'll just forget about it. Like me a year ago, I would have ignored that because I was ignoring red flags, like, and I was just like letting people like do whatever to me and like not.
So that's growth.
Yeah.
Good. Well.
Yeah.
Continue your growth, and good luck in your next relationships. Where'd you go from there? Thank you very much for being on Relationship Ready Talks.
You're welcome.
Phoebe Coates, everybody.
Thank you.
Hi. So what did we see with Phoebe? Hopefully, what did she see? Hopefully some of what she saw that we tried to point out and listen back and reflect is that she's identifying and doing what we all do with dating, is figure out what we like and what we don't like. What's our criteria for make or breaking a relationship with, I can only put up with this much, or sure, I'm willing to accept this. And it's not because we're stupid. It's because we have to figure out what our criteria is and what enough is enough is. So also looking for connection and intimacy. And what does intimacy mean? It's not just sex. It's also sharing, oversharing, and what the balance of that looks like. So hopefully by continuing to be insightful, continuing to be reflective, continuing to get supports, and continuing to relate, Phoebe and you and I and all of us can be even more ready for all of our next relationships. Thank you for watching today. Put comments below, subscribe, like, and I hope you enjoy this, as we'll have more. Take care.